Hello and welcome everyone on the official YouTube channel of Officers Adda 24/7. My name is Amanjyot and this is our third class related to the legislation against money laundering. So this is the series in which we are covering a certain MCQs or the certain topics, basics information related to AML KYC certification. So this is the third day of the series and today we are going to discuss the legislation against the money laundering, or we can say simply the laws which are related to the money laundering. Okay. So first of all, when we are talking about money laundering, we have already discussed that money laundering is simply where we can say that the person is converting his or her black money into white money is known as money laundering. Okay. Now, what are the legislation, what are the laws are there in India or in international trading that we are controlling or we are trying to control the money laundering? Or simply we can say what we are doing to anti-money laundering activities. What are the anti-money laundering activities we are performing at the national level and international level so that this problem of money laundering will be eradicated from the country. Now, before continuing to the concept, first of all, those who are new to the channel, do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you will be notified about all the upcoming sessions on the Officers Adda 24/7, which can be related to your bank promotion exam. It will be related to your JAIIB, CAIIB exams, and also with your we can simply say the AML KYC certificate. Okay, so let's start with the regulations or the laws which are related to the anti-money laundering. First of all, whenever we are talking about anti-money laundering, or whenever we are talking about that we are trying to control the money laundering in the country or in the international market, the first term or the first international organization which came into our mind, that is Financial Action Task Force, FATF. Okay, first thought in our mind comes, that is FATF. Now, what is FATF? FATF is a Financial Action Task Force. It is an intergovernmental body which was introduced in the G7 summit in Paris. Now, what actually FATF is doing, how actually FATF is helping the countries to control money laundering or to stop the terrorist funding. So, the main work of the Financial Action Task Force is to control money laundering and to control the terrorism financing. Okay. So, first of all, this is an intergovernmental body which is set up in the year 1989 and it is responsible for setting the global standards on anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism. Explains money laundering as the processing of criminal proceeds of disguise their illegitimate origin to legitimate legal gains of crime. So simply you have heard about the list of the FATF. I know that is black list, grey list of the countries which is given by the FATF. Now, why FATF, Financial Action Task Force, is providing these kind of services or these types of list to the international market? Because FATF is the intergovernmental body which is trying to control the money laundering and the financing of the terrorism. So what FATF is doing, those countries who are involved in these two activities, FATF restricted those countries in the international financial system so that this money laundering or this terrorism funding should be stopped. Okay, so if we are saying that there are certain countries who are in the list of FATF's grey list, then these are the countries to whom FATF has given a warning that stop doing money laundering or stop doing financing for the terrorism. And if the FATF given us the blacklist of the country, it means it has banned that particular country from the international financial system. Okay, so why FATF is giving this list and why FATF is trying to stop this money laundering or terrorism funding? Because with the help of money laundering, people are converting their illegitimate origin of money to the legitimate origin of money. It means simply they are converting their black source of money into the white source of money or the legal source of money. So to control this, FATF is working. Now, next thing is in 2010, India became the 34th nation member of a FATF. Okay, so India became the member of FATF in the year 2010, and when FATF was introduced, it was introduced in the year 1989. So India is one of the signatories to several United Nations conventions which tackle anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism. So always whenever we are going or whenever we are seeing that how India is standing against the terrorism or against the anti-money laundering, so India is one of the signatories to the several United Nations conferences in which we are trying to tackle with the anti-money laundering and we are trying to countering the financing of the terrorism. Clear? Now, when did India became the member? Do remember that also. Now, India has prohibited money laundering under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. That is a very important act. Acha, if we are talking about the anti-money laundering laws in the India, there are multiple anti-money laundering laws which are introduced in the India. First of all, if we are saying that anti-money laundering laws and regulation, first of all, an important regulation is a Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Apart from this, we can see the Conversion of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act was also introduced in the 1974. So first of all, let's understand how many acts India has introduced to control the money laundering or terrorism of financing of terrorism. Okay. So first of all, we had the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act in the 1974. After that, we have introduced the Benami Transaction Prohibition Act in the 1988. After that, we have given the Indian Penal Code 1860, Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. After that, the Narcotics, Drugs and Substances Act 1985 we have introduced. Then we have came to the conclusion that the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is a major act which we are using in the country to control the money laundering. So Prevention of Money Laundering Act, or we can say the bill, in 1998, the Prevention of Money Laundering Bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha. In 1998, we have introduced the bill and it was passed in the year 2003 and it came into effect in 2005. Okay, so do remember the and when it came into the force. Okay. So here we talk about the anti-money laundering activities or the act which is India is using to control the money laundering. So India has money laundering. One second. Okay. India has prohibited money laundering under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. So what India has done, India has controlling the money laundering activity under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. So this act was passed or introduced in the parliament in the year here. Now, when we are talking about the India has prohibited under PMLA the money laundering and also in the Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act 1985 amended in the year 2001, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 coupled with the rules issued under it and rules and regulations formed by regulators such as the RBI, SEBI displays a broad framework for the anti-money laundering laws in India. So whenever we are talking about controlling the money laundering in the country, so RBI is performing a certain activity to control money laundering in India with the help of Prevention of Money Laundering Act and Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act 1985. Okay, and this Prevention of Money Laundering Act coupled with the certain rules or norms which is given by the regulators of our country, that is RBI and SEBI. Okay, after that we are saying that anti-money laundering laws are displayed in a broad framework of these regulatory bodies. Now let's understand what is Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So first of all, in 1998 the Prevention of Money Laundering Act was introduced in the Lok Sabha. Now it was passed in the year 2003 and it came into force in 2005. Now it has gone through several amendments with the last one being in 2019. So the last amendment done under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act was did in the year 2019. Now administration and enforcement authority are chosen under the PMLA to execute its provisions and rules. Now the certain powers are vested which are very similar to those granted to the civil courts of the nation to exercise the provisional attachment of properties that are involved in the offense under PMLA. So PMLA, if you are talking about Prevention of Money Laundering Act, so what is Prevention of Money Laundering Act is, it executes its provisions and rules in the country and certain power has given to this particular act which are very similar or those which is given to the civil courts of the nation. So the Prevention of Money Laundering Act has a certain powers which is similar to the civil courts of the nation. It exercises the provisional attachments of property that are involved in the offense under the PMLA. So the we can say rules or the regulations or the power given to the PMLA Act is similar to those granted to the civil courts of the country. Now, PMLA Act 2002, first of all, PMLA attempts to combat the acts related to money laundering in India. Main objective of this particular act. So the first act objective is to prevent and control the money laundering. So this is the main objective of introducing the PMLA Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, that we want to prevent and combat the money laundering. Second, to confiscate and seize the property acquired from the laundered money. So we have discussed the stages of money laundering in the yesterday class, in which we have discussed there are 3 stages. That is placement, layering and integration. So we have discussed in placement, we are depositing our money, we are entering our dirty money into the financial system in the stage of placement. In second stage, layering, what we are doing, we are creating a complex network of money so that the money will not be easily identified. In third situation, integration, in third stage, that is integration, and it is a final stage. What we are doing, we are creating our personal assets with the help of layering stage by showing a certain legal source of income. Now those income, those personal asset which we have created in the integration stage, the final stage of the money laundering, those assets will be seized or confiscated by the PMLA Act, which was created because of the or by the laundered money. Clear? After that, to deal with the any other issues in relation to the money laundering in India, or if there is any other issue which is related to money laundering in India, is also going to be conducted or also going to be analyzed or monitored under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Okay, so we have discussed there are 3 main objectives of PMLA Act. First is to prevent and control the money laundering. Second, to confiscate and seize the property which is acquired from the illegal source of money and convert it into the legal source of money. So we have to confiscate and seize that property. After that, to deal with the other issues in relation to money laundering in India, this act also works. So this is the 3 objectives of Money Laundering Act. Now, under the provisions of Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the Financial Intelligence Unit of India was formed in 2004. So under PMLA Act, we have formed FIU-IND as the primary body for coordinating India's AML efforts. So this is a primary body when we are talking about the Financial Intelligence Unit of India. It is a primary body which was introduced by PMLA's provisions, and what it is doing, it is coordinating India's anti-money laundering efforts, that what efforts we are implementing to control laundering. All these efforts will be coordinated by the PMLA Act and FIU-IND unit. Now the primary function of FIU-IND is to receive, analyze, process and disseminate information relating to suspect financial transaction. Now what this financial intelligence unit is doing, it is analyzing, it is monitoring, it is receiving or analyzing the transaction, that which of the following transactions are the suspicious transaction, and it provides the report related to the suspicious transaction. It disseminates the information, it means it transfers the information to the authorities that these are the accounts in which we are finding the suspect financial transaction or suspicious financial transaction. Okay, so this is the work which is done by the Financial Intelligence Unit. Now, Financial Intelligence Unit also coordinate and strengthen efforts of national investigations, international intelligence and enforcement agency in pursuing the global efforts against the money laundering. So financing of terrorism, what we are doing to to stop the financing of terrorism and to control the money laundering, FIU coordinates and strengthen the efforts of the national and international agencies, or it also monitor or it also investigate the suspicious transactions which are happening in the financial institution. Okay, so in 2005, Enforcement Directorate was introduced by the Government of India to utilize exclusive power related to the investigation and prosecution under PMLA. So in 2005, Government of India has introduced ED, and this ED has given a certain exclusive power that it can do the investigation and prosecutions under PMLA. It can interrogate or it can intervene under the PMLA's interrogation and investigation. Now, the primary legislation other than the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which directly and indirectly focuses to curb fight in money laundering activities, are certain activities which are helpful to control the simple money laundering activity and your what we can say the kind of things which are going to help control the financing of the terrorism. Okay, so what are the directly indirectly activities are, which we have discussed in the starting, that these are the certain acts. What are the different activities we are performing? First will be, one second, let me write here. So the first activity which is formed under this PMLA Act, that is Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act, which came into year 1974. Okay? And the second act, which was helping or focusing directly or indirectly to curb and fight money laundering. The first act is the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act 1974. The second is Benami Transaction. The second, which after the 1974, there is Transaction Act year 1988. So second is Benami Transaction Prohibition Act, and the third is Indian Penal Code. Okay, Indian Penal Code 1860 is also there. After that, Code of Criminal Proceeds is also there, which is in the year 1973 introduced. After that, we have Narcotics, Drugs and Psychoactive Substance Act 1985. So these are the certain activities, or these are the certain acts which are helping the PMLA directly or indirectly to curb and fight the money laundering and also the terrorism financing. Clear? So these are the certain years which we have discussed. In the another session, in the next session, when we are coming with the India's regulations to control money laundering, we are going to discuss all these acts in the detail. Okay, so this is the basic legislation which was introduced and related to the anti-money laundering under the India and to stop the terrorism financing. Clear? Now let's start with the practice of certain questions. The first question is talking about Director under PMLA Act 2002 is appointed by. So who appoints the director under PMLA Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act? Is it appointed by RBI? Is it appointed by central government? Is it appointed by Central Bureau of Investigation? Or is it appointed by Financial Intelligence Unit? So who appoints the director under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002? A, B, C or D? What will be the right answer? A, B, C or D? A. Banking A. RBI, no, it is not appointed by RBI. It is appointed by central government. So Director under Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 is appointed by the central government. So right answer will be your B option, that is central government. Second question is asking about when did the Prevention of Money Laundering Act came into force? So in which year did the Prevention of Money Laundering Act came into force? Is it 1st July 2005? Is it 1st July 2002? Is it 1st July 2003? Is it 1st July 2004? So in which year the Prevention of Money Laundering Act came to existence? Came to force? First of all, Prevention of Money Laundering Act was introduced in 2002. It is a central act which came into effect in which of the following date, you have to tell me. And this act is extended to whole India, including the state of including the Jammu and Kashmir also. Okay, and it received, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act received the presidential assent on 17th of January 2003. So that is the also important information. Do remember that also. So it was introduced, or it came into force from 1st July 2005. So right answer will be your A option, 1st July 2005. Okay. And the third question is asking PMLA Act 2002 extend to the whole of India except Union Territories, whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir, or none of the above. PMLA Act is appointed or is applicable on whole of India except Union Territories, whole of India except Jammu and Kashmir, or none of the above. So where this Prevention of Money Laundering Act is extended to? The right answer here will be your whole of India. PMLA Act 2002 extends to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, it is also included under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So right answer will be your A option, that is whole of India. Next. Banks have to maintain record of all series of cash transactions integrally connected to each other, which have been valued below rupees 10 lakh, where such series of transactions have taken place as per 2002. Now we will answer the question which we are asking. Banks have to maintain a record all the series of cash transactions integrally connected to each other which have been valued below the rupees 10 lakh, where such series of transactions have taken place dash as per PMLA 2002. So what is the duration in which banks have to maintain the record of all series cash transaction? Is it within 3 days? Is it during a particular week? Is it within a month or on a particular day? So what will be the answer for which duration banks have to maintain records here? On a daily basis, on a particular day. Second is within a month, third is within the 3 days, or fourth is during a particular week. So what will be the right answer? The right answer for this question will be your C option, within a month. So bank have to maintain the record within a month of all series of cash transaction which is connected to each other which has been valued below rupees 10 lakh. If we are talking about more amount, if we are talking about more than 10 lakhs, then they have to maintain on the daily basis. Okay, so right answer here is within a month because it is the value below the 10 lakh rupees. Next, whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowing, assist or knowingly is a part or is actually involved in any process of activity connected with the proceeds of crime and shall be guilty of offense of money laundering. Now, what will be the right answer? We are talking about whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assist or knowingly is a part or is actually involved in any process or activity which is connected with the proceeds of crime and dash shall be guilty of offense of money laundering. Under section, this condition or this crime comes under the section 3 of PMLA. Okay, this comes under the section 3 of PMLA. So what is the right answer here? The right answer will be projecting it as untainted property. Now what is untainted property? Which is you are converting from black to white money. Okay, you are creating illegitimate source of origin to the legitimate source of origin, that is known as untainted property. So whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assists or knowingly is a part or is actually involved in a certain process or activity which is connected to the proceeds of crime, so it is projecting it as an untainted property. What the person is doing? Person is trying to project the property into an untainted property. What untainted property simply means you're converting the illegal source of money in the legal source of money. That is known as you're projecting it as an untainted property which is defined under the section 5 of PMLA Act. Okay, so these are the questions which we have discussed related to the legislation of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now let me know out of 5 how many questions are done correctly. And one more information for all of you that the CAIIB, JAIIB complete video course batch is available on the Adda 24/7 application. If you are preparing or if you are going to give the JAIIB, CAIIB exam, then these particular batches are for you. Now to enroll in this particular batch, you can use a code that is Y496. You can use this code to enroll under this batch. And next thing, if you want a test series, you want to practice question, you have already done the conceptual understanding of all the syllabus and you only want to practice questions, then you can use this particular test packs which is available for CAIIB and JAIIB both, and you have to use here the code that is Y496.